cold, isn't it? How do you keep comfortable on a bike? Catch you inside.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. So in this video I'm talking about rider comfort and why is it so important. Now, as you know, I like to do some long distance riding, some endurance rides. I've just done one recently. And one of the big things, or lots of questions I've been getting since, was how did I keep myself comfortable whilst riding just a stock bike with a standard seat? Well, there are many elements to it. So first of all, you've got to factor what kind of ride you're going to be doing and how long you're going to be riding for, how many breaks you're going to be taking, because that can break up the discomfort that you might feel. Then you've got to think about the weather and the temperatures especially, and whether it's going to be dry riding or wet riding. So that really determines the type of clothing that you would wear. Now for me, I would say if you're going to be riding in cold temperatures for a start, then you need to have multiple layers. Now I would never go for a single item of thick clothing or underclothing. Always go for multiple layers of thin clothing so that you can regulate your temperature just by merely removing a layer or adding a layer. You could also think about different types of material beneath your heavyweight jacket, for example. And that will have thermal qualities, it might have windbreak qualities, that kind of thing. That's how you keep yourself comfortable. But at some point, you've got to monitor or regulate how many layers you're putting on so it doesn't interfere with your mobility. There's always going to be a trade-off between keeping yourself warm and comfortable on a bike and still having the mobility. Now, a lot of people will say, actually, comfort isn't really that important. What's most important is the safety side of it. That is true to a certain extent, I would agree. But you've also got to factor as well, if you're uncomfortable on a bike with wearing the best safety equipment, then actually that's going to have a detrimental effect to your overall safety as well. So you've really got to factor in how you're going to be the safest on a bike, but also the most comfortable to ride either short distances or actually long distances. If you're riding short distances, then actually can you cope with the discomfort of whatever it is, whether it's too hot or too cold, whether it's raining, that kind of thing. So then if it's raining, then you need to think about waterproof protection on your bike and also on you, for example. So whether you're going to be wearing leathers or textiles, whether you're going to be wearing extra layers over above, like a rain suit. So for example, on my latest ride, I was wearing 4 base layers beneath my big motorcycle jacket, for which I wear for the winter. Not this one, this is my all year round one. And on top of that, I was wearing a rain suit, a 1-piece rain suit. And on top of that, I was wearing a 2-piece rain suit as well. And would you believe that's multiple layers? I was still comfortable. I still had a lot of mobility. And I still had the inbuilt safety because I had padded elbows and back protector and everything like that. I went that route because I could then manipulate whether I needed to add layers or take off layers. And so therefore I could have the thin layers, and it worked well throughout the whole ride. I was still comfortable, I was still safe, I was still mobile. Now at some point you've got to factor is, you don't want to be too comfortable. You don't want to be too cozy, especially on a cold ride where you'll start to lose focus. Actually, a little bit of discomfort can help you to maintain your focus, maintain your alertness as well. Again, it's a trade-off. If you're riding in really hot temperatures, then the last thing you want to be doing is wearing multiple layers of clothing and to have clothing that is not suitable for hot weather riding. So you can still wear motorcycle safety equipment or clothing, but that is specifically designed for summer riding as well. However, there are lots of tricks which you can use for riding in hot weather, but still have a motorcycle jacket over the top. Let's say, for example, you're going to be riding in really hot temperatures throughout the day and it's really dry environment. Well, what you can do, you can actually soak a t-shirt in water and put on effectively a dripping wet t-shirt on beneath your jacket, and then you can ride with that. That would actually keep you really cool, a lot cooler than just riding in a short sleeve t-shirt, for example. Another thing you've got to factor as well, that if you're riding in a short sleeve t-shirt or shorts or whatever for a long distance in bright sunshine, you're going to get sunburnt, and in fact you're going to get hotter than you think you would. So actually keeping covered up, keeping your arms covered up, keeping the sun off your body is really important. Not only for your comfort, but also your ability to keep on riding for long distances and to fend off fatigue. Because that's really what we're talking about here. Motorcycle comfort is about not only being able to control the bike, as in mobility, to be able to do everything that you should be able to do, but it's also about remaining alert and keeping yourself focused enough to make good decisions whilst riding. As soon as you start to get uncomfortable, that starts impacting on how you get distracted, because you're focusing on how uncomfortable you are, how cold you are, how hot you are, how many aches and pains you have, all that kind of thing. And you're not focusing on the ride. So the more comfortable you are, the better you will be at being able to ride your bike long distances. Now, as I say, there's always going to be a trade-off between the optimal or the ultimate safety protection that you can have and how comfortable you will be as well. There's always going to be a slight trade-off, but you have to factor which is going to be the best combination for you. Sometimes you just have to strip it back and go back to the old ways of riding, just multiple thick layers, and just keeping it really basic and keeping it really simple. You know, some good boots, some good gloves, you know, thick clothing, warm clothing, let's say it's in the winter, and, you know, some waterproofing if you can. You don't necessarily have to wear motorcycle waterproof clothing, for example. You can get any industrial workwear waterproof clothing, put that over the top, and you'll be good to go. At the end of the day, it really depends how comfortable you want to be and how comfortable you need to be to remain focused and alert whilst riding. Now, as I say, there is going to be a big difference between short journeys and long journeys. A short journey you can pretty much put up with anything to a certain degree. You know, extreme heat or extreme cold or extreme rain, yes, you want to be protected even on the short journeys, not only in terms of safety but also in terms of comfort as well. However, in normal riding conditions, you could still say, well, I'm only riding a few miles down the road, I'll just wear my normal riding gear. Absolutely fine. However, if you adopt the same principle for riding long distance, and I'm talking about, you know, 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles in a short period of time, where you're going to be riding all through the hours, day and night, then actually even a slight deviation from norm will have a detrimental effect. You can be riding in standard weather conditions, it can be dry, but just because you're riding for so long and fatigue starts setting in, you actually start to feel more uncomfortable, a lot colder than you normally would. Say, for example, on this last ride, I certainly noticed that the longer I was riding, the more colder I would feel, but actually the outside ambient temperatures in the day weren't that bad. They were about 7 or 8 degrees, 9 degrees. At night, in the dead of night, it actually dropped down to just above freezing, or freezing in some cases. So again, it was cold, but it wasn't dramatically cold. But because I've been riding so long, that's where I needed those extra layers just to keep me going. And it really doesn't matter what bike you're riding, whether you're riding on a Harley Davidson, a cruiser, you know, a Japanese, British, Italian, German, it doesn't make any difference. The principle is exactly the same. You need to find equipment that works for you. You can buy touring equipment, you know, adventure bike wear if you like. But again, it really depends if it's functioning for you. Do you need extra layers beneath, and do you need an extra layer on top as well? But this multi-layered approach will help you counteract rider fatigue a lot more than wearing a single item of clothing. You've got to protect yourself. You've got to protect your body, but you've also got to be thinking about the journey ahead. Not only will I be comfortable now, but how am I going to be comfortable in, let's say, 10 hours time, 12, 15, 24 hours time? That's the key thing. So another thing to consider is then the changing weather. You've got to look at the forecast for your route, and then you've got to think, right, okay, will the temperature severely drop? Will I encounter rain? All that kind of thing. So you may need to pack extra clothing or extra waterproofs, for example, stick them in your rucksack and your panniers, whatever it is, and then when the time is required, then you pull over, put on the extra layers, and away you go. The same can be said if you're starting off in colder conditions, then you're going to be riding into a lot hotter conditions. Then you can take off some of those layers, store them away on your bike, and ride off in warmer conditions. It's just a way of regulating your body temperature and just keeping yourself comfortable on the bike. Now, the other thing to consider is not only what you're wearing, but also the actual bike that you're riding and how it fits you as well. That's really important. And we're talking about seat, the type of seat, the seat height, the handlebar height, handlebar position, foot pegs, all that kind of stuff will actually determine if you can ride your bike for long distances and consistently ride it as well. That's one of the big things that you need to consider, not only about what you're wearing, but are you going to be able to ride your bike for a long distance and still be comfortable as well? Because no matter what you do, at some point you will be really uncomfortable. You will have lots of aches and pains. So the key here is to, yes, if you need to push on, but still take regular breaks, regular rest stops, get off the bike, move around. And if you need to, you know, take a bit longer on a rest stop, then do it. That's more important than trying to push on and still being so uncomfortable that you can't ride safely. Anyway, I hope this helps. So this is a lot of the information which I am bringing to you is based upon my rides and how I ride when I'm riding long distance, or I'm riding in all sorts of weather conditions, and finding the things that work for me, and maybe they'll work for you as well. But if you've got any other suggestions, please leave them in the comments below, and let me know what your tips are for remaining comfortable on the bike, and so why it's so important as well to you. Right, please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com, and I'll catch you on the next video coming, well, very, very soon. Ta-da now.
RevelatorAlf.